I'm here with Sue Moorcroft, and you've just done a session for the festival on how to write sex scenes.
Hot scenes, we call them.
Hot
scenes, because hot scenes aren't always just about sex. They can be about excitement and love, and so it's not just an anatomical, diagrammatic process at all. It's all about excitement.
What gives you the qualification to tell us how to do it?
Well, I write novels that contain hot scenes, and I'm a creative writing tutor, and I've written a book about writing romantic fiction and erotic fiction. So that's how I got the gig.
Is that two different things?
Yes. Well, there's a crossover, but they're certainly not necessarily the same thing at all. Erotica tends to be much more explicit, much higher sex content, much more more of the story is to do with sex than just a hot book, just as normal adult literature.
When you're writing this material, who's your reader?
Mainly female, not by all means all of them, and particularly not in foreign editions for some reason. I seem to get quite a few men, like my Turkish and Portuguese editions, I seem to get quite a few men talking to me on Facebook about those books. But in this country it's mainly women, and I would say anything from 25 upwards really. I don't write young adult, it is adult, and my characters, depending on the book, somewhere around late 20s up to mid 40s.
Was the world changed for you by the shades of grey phenomenon?
A bit. For one thing, it sucked up all the buying power of, actually affected other publishers, because everybody was buying 50 Shades of Grey, which is not so good if you didn't write 50 Shades of Grey. It made people speak a lot more openly about women enjoying erotic literature. And it got me 4 or 5 radio interviews. People wanted me to come in and talk about it for some reason.
See, there is, in the book industry, people who go wah, and chortle.
Yes, and call it mummy porn, those kind of people. Yes, don't like it.
So what's the correct way of looking at it?
It's erotica. And, if it's for women or if it's for men, it's still erotica. We have different audiences, and some of it is genderless. But I think that a female audience does want something different from a male audience quite often, and I think possibly they want something a little softer, not in terms of how explicit it is, but that it's much more idealised, that it's much more to do with the relationship than the sex. The sex is just a very nice byproduct of a wonderful relationship.
So is this tending to point out that there is a void in many women's lives?
What, because they want to read about sex?
Rather than do it.
Well, why is it rather than do it?
It's as well as?
Yes, of course. In fact, men on Facebook, I've been involved in some conversations where men have said they've been jolly grateful for 50 Shades of Grey and that ilk because, put the woman in the mood. You've
just been talking to people, instructing them how to do it. In a sentence...
Write about it.
Write about it.
I think they know how to do it.
Write about it. In a sentence, then, how do you tell them to improve their writing skills?
Word choice is very important, excitement level is very important, and to use the sex scene as something part of the plot, not just an add-in, oh, I've written 40 pages without sex, so let's have some. It's got to be part of the plot, and sex does change things a lot. It changes the quality of a relationship, it can be a source of conflict, it can really turn your book.
Thanks for talking to me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.